is the Chrissy Swan Show.
Hello, Jack.
Good afternoon.
Normally we pull ourselves through Tuesdays kicking and screaming, but today we're going to be hooping and hollering.
Absolutely we are.
We are going to be playing Trust or Fall. This is a really big deal because this is the only place where you can get a ticket to London to see Pink.
Huge.
It is massive.
Imagine what that would cost if you were paying for it.
Oh.
It'd be nuts.
It's almost a money can't buy experience, but get onto the Nova Player and register your details. Got to be in it to win it. And the gorgeous Sarah Harris is coming up. We obviously fell in love with her many moons ago. It seems like she's been on television longer than she's been alive. But she is the most recent addition to the project, filling Carrie Bickmore's shoes, and she's just a gorgeous girl, and I cannot wait to see her. She's coming up after 3 as well. But next, he's in the news again. I never thought it would happen. I wished it wouldn't. We're going to be talking Mark Holden.
The Chrissy Swan Show. Chrissy's clickbait.
Australian Idol's rolling on.
It indeed is.
Mark Holden's unhappy. Now, you might not even remember. Do you even know who Mark Holden is?
I do know who Mark Holden is, but a lot of people probably wouldn't.
Yeah, so he was in the original lineup of judges when Australian Idol was on telly 20 years ago. And then before that, of course, he was a pop music superstar in Australia, famous for handing out white carnations to girls on Countdown, etc. So it was a really big deal, and when he was a judge on the show, he sort of started this movement called the Touchdown, which it's sort of like the golden buzzer, the equivalent of the golden buzzer.
Yes.
It was like if he was really impressed, he did this elaborate dance and would scream touchdown, and then they put it on LED screens.
And he'd wind his arm up a lot, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Right. It was very irritating, I thought.
I've got some audio of how it used to sound.
Okay, have a listen.
That was a grand royale.
Touchdown! Everyone used to love it, right? And it meant that the person was doing well. He's unhappy because in the reboot of Idol, Amy Shark, Megan Trainor, they've all had a crack at doing something like the Touchdown, if not the Touchdown.
Yeah.
And Mark Holden is unhappy about that because he reckons he made it up.
Oh, come on,
He
mate.
gets very touchy about the Touchdown. He says he is hurt that people are using it, and he said, I thought the Idol producers would have reached out to me. These people are my friends. It's very hurtful that they haven't bothered to reach out. Sweetie, you've got to get over it.
You do. It was 2003, that first season of Australian Idol. Why would the producers probably don't know who you are
Please
anymore.
let it go. Please let it go. Did I ever tell you I did a show very briefly, an Idol-based show with Mark Holden and Nico in Sydney? And working with Mark Holden was one of the most confusing experiences of my life.
Why is that?
We would plan a radio break. None of us were really, that I think this is like maybe 2004 or something. So I'd only been in radio a very short amount of time. And we would plan what we were going to talk about, and then the mic was live, mics would go live, and we'd say, okay, we're going to talk about backpacks and fire engines. Okay, great, good. And then the mics would go live, and Mark Holden would look at me and Dicko and start talking about cabbages and banh mi.
Oh, I'd just have to call him out on it on air.
We were just
How infuriating.
we just discussed what we were talking about.
Yeah, come on,
so
man.
we sort of looked stupid. I would not give you a touchdown for a working experience, Mark Holden. I tell you who else is not giving a touchdown. This poor girl's got a tattoo and it looks awful, but there is something about her misery that will make you laugh, Jack.
The butterfly. The butterfly looks like it was out of a cartoon book. The flowers are so big. I'm literally stuck with this thing for the rest of my life.
Buyer beware.
Honestly.
That's what scares me about tattoos. I really want one, but I'm nervous because what if I change my mind, and I'm a big mind changer.
I think you've come this far in life too. You don't need to do that
Let
now.
it go.
As the great Kim Kardashian said, you wouldn't put a bumper sticker on a Bentley.
That is absolutely correct.
The Chrissy Swan Show.
No one, especially women of a certain age, should ever feel invisible, disconnected or unimportant. Priceline Pharmacy celebrates you and all your uniqueness at every age, because at Priceline, it's always a festival of you.
Head in store or online at priceline.com.
The Chrissy Swan Show.
Hey, I've got a question for you, Jack, and I don't know whether you're going to be able to play along because my mum is a lot older than Wendy, your mum. I want to ask you, what has your mum or dad told you 1,000,000 times But every time they tell you, they act as if it's the first time. Have you got one of those?
Yeah, I've got one from my dad. Anytime we were sick as kids, and it started to become a bit of an ongoing joke, but anytime one of us is feeling slightly under the weather, he'll try and diagnose us, and he'll always say, I'm a pharmacist's son, you know. I'm a pharmacist's son. My dad was a pharmacist.
You can almost mouth the words,
Yeah,
can't you, when they're coming out? My mum does this thing, Patty Swan. We've been seeing the same doctor for 30 years, right? And every time I say, I've been to the doctor, I saw Bruce the other day or whatever, she will say this thing. And it happened this week because I went and had my bloods done. Just checking how the hormones are, Joel. And they're fine, I'm happy to report. And I knew when I mentioned it that I'd been to the doctor, I knew it was coming, and sure enough, it did. So I say to Patty Swan, I went to the doctor this week and, saw Bruce, he's well.
Yeah.
She goes, darling, have I ever told you that Bruce...
I love Patty's voice.
Bruce is the official doctor for the Queen whenever she visits. and I...
Not anymore.
I'm like, no, not anymore. And every time she says it, I'm waiting for it, and sure enough, it comes, and my fists are clenched. Like the last 5 years or so, my fists have been clenched, like waiting for it to come. And sure enough, it comes. And then I'm not honest. I don't go, yes, you've told me that 1,000,000 times. I go, oh, really?
Oh, that's so nice of you.
Yeah, I know.
Because that would take a lot not to just lash out.
It does. In fact, I think I have lashed out once in the last 20 years, but literally every time I mention it or every time he comes up in conversation.
In Patty's defence, it's a pretty cool tidbit that you see, if it's true, that you see a doctor that also looked after Queen Lizzie.
Yes, it is a cool tidbit. If I hadn't heard it 7,000 times.
The Chrissy Swan Show. The Chrissy Swan Show.
And my mum does this thing every time I mention the doctor. Now, keep in mind how many times I've mentioned my doctor. I've been seeing the same guy for 35 years and so has she, Bruce. Every time I mention him, she says, have I ever told you that when the Queen is in Australia, Bruce is her official physician? And I go, yes, you have. In my mind.
In your mind, which is very measured of you.
Every time she says it, though, I have heard that many, many times, and she tells it to me as if it's the first time she's ever mentioned it.
Just side note, have you spoken to Bruce about this and what the Queen's like?
No.
Why have you not? I would be grilling him.
Look at the things that Bruce has seen. I just want to get in and out as quickly as possible. Jane, do one of your parents do this?
Oh, yes. I love me some Chrissy in my afternoons. I just think you're wonderful. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jane.
Mum tells me every single day that when she was little, she had to travel anywhere. She went in a horse and cart. 93 years old, grew up in Golgong in the country, and she tells me this every day, like I've not heard it before.
And so, do you pretend that you're hearing it for the first time?
I have the patience of a goddess, Chrissy.
I think I do too.
I hear it, every single day. But my mum's 93; she has a touch of dementia, so. I have to have the patience.
Maybe I've just diagnosed my mum with it too, but she has been doing it since she was 40. Do you know what I mean?
I reckon Patty just loves the story.
Yeah,
I do it all the time to my kids too. It's the parents' right.
that is true. You got a Target voucher, Jane. Thank you so much for calling and thanks for your kind words. Anna?
Yes.
What is your story?
Well, I was born in South America, and at the age of 2.5, I had a doctor save. Mum keeps on telling me doctor saved my life by giving me needles to my arms and legs every 4 hours. I went back and met him at 17, and I finally got to meet him.
Oh, so it was a true story?
Yeah, true story.
Wow. I bet you she never, ever let you live that down. Ever, ever. Maybe I can imagine that she would have been like, occasionally, I wish that doctor hadn't saved your life. All right, let's move on to Katie. Katie.
Hello.
What's your story, Katie?
Hi, Chrissy. So my mum is a midwife in Scotland, and when she was training, she worked in a hospital in Wales where a soccer player called Ryan Giggs, who played for Manchester United for many years, she says that she was the midwife in the room when he was born.
Okay, I'm just going
Every
to
time
translate that
I
for I'm going to translate that for our listeners, not because of your accent, but because you're on a funny line. She was a midwife in a hospital in the UK, and she delivered a soccer player's baby. And
No, she actually delivered the soccer player.
the soccer player. She delivered the soccer player, and then whenever she sees him on television, she will say,
Yes.
what is the exact sentence she says? Do it in her voice.
She said, do you know, did I ever tell you that I was the midwife that delivered Ryan Giggs?
Oh, you couldn't be
I
mad
see.
at that. You couldn't be mad. I'd be like, no, Mum,
I
tell me
see,
the whole
Mum.
story.
I know, I love her to bits. So I'm just like, okay, Mum, yeah, that's great.
Oh, that's beautiful. You've got a Target voucher. I love that story. I could listen to you do your impersonation of your mum forever, Katie.
I know that accent is the best.
Gorgeous. Thank you so much for calling.
The Chrissy Swan Show.
People are secretly putting air tags, I think they're called, on their loved ones' cars and, well, particularly their cars. And that means that whoever's put it on there can track their every move.
I was about to say that's creepy, but I remember when I was a teenager, I put Find My iPhone on my parents' phones so I'd know when they're about to get home if I was up to no good.
You are so devious.
They found out, they weren't thrilled.
No, I bet they weren't. But you are right. That is an absolute violation. Your initial reaction that it's a violation of your privacy is true, despite you having done that
it, yeah.
prior to your parents. So apparently it's a thing, and you can buy an AirTag and put it under someone's where their wheel is in their car.
Oh, that's like spooky.
And it glues, and they don't know. They've got no idea.
They're intended to be used for luggage, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And a Australian girl was her new boyfriend did that to her car, which I'm sure is like abuse or violence or something.
Without question.
Yeah. But she obviously had no idea, and she got a notification from AirTag saying, oh, you've been located in this area. She's like, I don't have an AirTag. I don't know what's going on. And that's how she found out. She confronted her boyfriend and he denied it. And then she said, well, I'm going to have to go to the police. And only then did he go, oh, okay, it was me. So if you're listening to this and you think it's a good idea, trust me, it isn't.
Don't.
But Jack, I may have done it to you. I might have slipped a little AirTag near your wheel of the black BMW that you
stop.
Inexplicably hoof around town in. What's Hobber?
Hobber is a cafe I went through this morning for a coffee with my mate Cam.
Oh, must be nice.
It is.
What's Flying Duck?
Monday night steak night every week. You know that in Paran.
I tell you what, there's been absolutely no evidence of you in your own kitchen.
And there never will be.
No, there's not. You did sit on the couch for a while. What were you doing there?
Oh, yeah, watching Jesse find out old mate was cheating on maths last night.
So it's only the important stuff for you.
Well, I've been tracking you as well because, like I did with my mum, I got onto your phone and put in some details.
Oh, I'm sure there's nothing untoward happening there, Jack.
The first stop, Coles.
Yes, I was there. I bought a kilo of Philadelphia cream cheese because my dad's coming and he loves cheesecake.
I like that.
So I'm making 2 big cheesecakes for dinner this Saturday night.
And then I have here Dobson's. What's Dobson's?
Oh, Dobson's. Wow, this is hot. This
Okay,
is really
give it
hot.
to me.
You might need to turn the radio down because Dobson's still sells school uniforms.
Oh.
My kids have lost all their school socks. So I had to go in there and buy them. Do you know how expensive school socks are?
Of course I don't.
They're ridiculous. I'm not going to tell you. You'll never know.
The Chrissy Swan Show.
And here we are at the time that everyone's been waiting for.
Nova. Are you ready? What's up? This is Pink. See me live. How's everybody? Pink's brand new single is out now. The title track from her 9th studio album, Trustful. Available to download and stream now. We've got our Chrissy Swans, Trust or Fall.
We've got our carryover champion, James, on the line. Hello, James.
Hey, Chrissy.
Has it been a sleepless night for you? Have you been cramming information about the old Alicia Beth Moore / Pink?
I have been cramming so much, so I hope I'm up to date, darling.
Well, we've got a worthy opponent for you off the Nova Player. Get in, get your details on there, and you could be playing against James or against Vanya tomorrow. Welcome, Vanya.
Thank you. Hello.
You're feeling nervous? Are you feeling confident?
Look, I am feeling really nervous. I can feel the heartbeat. I'm sorry, there goes my dog. The heartbeat is pounding. James seems like he knows his stuff.
He did. He's a worthy adversary. Now, I'm going to hand over to Jack to explain how this works because my brain doesn't understand it. Let's go.
So we have one question to ask James about Pink because he's our carryover champ from yesterday. James can either trust himself to get it right or he can trust that Vanya will get it wrong and fall out of the competition, meaning James is again our carryover champ tomorrow. Does that make sense, Swanee?
Yes. Makes sense,
doesn't.
James. Makes sense, Vanya.
Yes, it does.
Oh, I'm so glad for you. All right, here is your question for James. What is the name of the animated character Pink voiced in Happy Feet 2?
I'm going to trust myself. It's Gloria.
James! Wow!
Spot on.
You are never going to not get one wrong. James, that is really impressive. I'm sorry, Vanya. Get back on the Nova Player and see if you can have another crack at it. We'll be catching up with you again tomorrow, James. You are going to be so hard to beat. If you think that you know more about Pink than James does, get onto the Nova Player. This is your chance to enjoy a Pink concert in London.
The Chrissy Swan Show. The Chrissy Swan Show.
Because it's my show, I can invite my friends in, and I've done just that. Sarah Harris, welcome.
Hi, ladies. So nice to see you.
Latest new kid on the block on the project. I want to ask how it's going. Are you enjoying it?
Oh, I'm loving the show. It's such a dynamic team to be part of, and I'm obsessed with Waleed as well. He is just such a surprise packet, isn't he?
He's a lot more fun.
He's fun.
He's a lot more fun than I expected. Before I'd met him, I thought, oh no, I'm never going to be able to have anything in common with Waleed because he's so
got this
smart.
huge brain, this massive brain, which I think can be a little bit intimidating to some people.
But he's actually an idiot.
He laughs at himself. He's got a really interesting way of looking at life as well, and he has really cool friends that he doesn't make a big deal of. For example, we had Tim Rogers on the desk last night, and I'm a massive Tim Rogers fan.
Lead singer of UMI, of course.
That's right. Heavy Heart I had on high rotation during the pandemic.
I was going to say during the marriage breakup. Who didn't?
That too. Between Adele and the Heavy Heart, it was all on. But Tim Rogers was on the desk, and it just turns out they're great mates.
Yeah.
Didn't make a deal of it. Yeah, because they're both musos and they can talk about music and guitars together and songwriting because he's quite deep, Waleed, as well. And it's a fabulous team. Sam Taunton is just so funny as well. And that's what I like about the project too, that it gives these kind of young up-and-coming comics as well a platform, and he's really relaxed into the role.
Speaking of a platform, I know that you're sort of reluctant to be the single working mom, and I'm reluctant to be anything as well. But I think it would be important for women to hear from you on this kind of mythical juggle that we're supposed to, manage. And what I want to hear from you is that it's a crock of shit. And and there is no such thing as a balance depending on where you are in your life.
There's no juggling. There's no balls. I'm being kicked in the balls. I'm dropping the balls. Quentin Bryce, who was the Attorney General and used to be the Governor of Queensland, once said, women can have it all, but they can't have it all at once. And I didn't quite understand what she meant by that until really in the last few months. The biggest hesitation in taking what is essentially my dream job, working on the project, the biggest thing was moving to Melbourne to do the show from here a few nights a week and leaving my kids in Sydney. I'm straddling both states at the moment. Oh, that sounded a bit sexy, didn't it? But I'm fly in, fly out mum at the moment.
FIFO.
I'm a FIFO mum. But it's hard.
Which is fine for a man, by the way.
It's interesting because when I was actually offered the job, the boy's dad said to me when we were discussing how it would work, because I'm a hands-on mum.
Yeah.
I find magic in the mundane. I love making school lunches. I love doing school pickup. I love doing the sport.
Wow.
That's something I've always wanted a family, and that's always been something important to me. And I was talking to the boy's dad about it, and he said, if this was me in this position, we would not even be having this conversation.
Of course not.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And it's funny when there's this kind of external chatter in the media about, women choosing their careers over kids. It's like a knife to the heart. I find myself crying in my hotel room sometimes thinking, is this what I need to be doing? But yeah, I do actually, because I'm a single mum.
Yeah.
And this is my livelihood.
Yes.
It's an imperfect kind of structure at the moment.
At the moment,
but
yes.
it's not forever. I'd like it to be forever-ish.
Yeah.
But like it's something you have to do to support your family.
Let's get down to business. You've got a question, Jack?
I want to ask about Waleed Ali, who was on the show last week in the studio with us, and Chrissy made shakshuka for him.
Oh.
And he raved about it on air, but I was dubious on whether, when he got back to Channel 10, whether he would go, that sucked, I had to pretend to like it, or did he love it?
Raved about it in the makeup room,
Wow.
on set. I think after the show, as we were heading back down, he was still talking about this shakshuka. What did you do to it?
Just a
bit of love.
Just magic. Now, we want to talk about your first story, because you've been a journalist longer than you've been alive.
Do you know what? I got a job. I did work experience when I was 16, still at high school, with Channel 7, and it was supposed to be a week, and it turned out to be, well, forever, really.
Wow.
It was my foot in the door into the media. But when I was finally on air, I was kind of doing odd jobs, making coffee, recording the news, that type of thing. But when I first got on air, one of my first stories was, and I love this so much, how to get buried on a budget.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah. We looked at economical ways you can get buried.
That's really interesting.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? See, isn't that a great little yarn?
Yes.
They told me I couldn't do my piece to camera inside a coffin, though, because I thought that would have been really hilarious.
Yeah.
But no.
All right, Sarah Harris, let's do a round of this.
All right.
It's called I've Just Got to Ask. We give you 3 celebrities, and you, with your giant journalistic brain, tell us the one question that you would ask them if given the opportunity. Number 1, the great Oprah Winfrey.
I would really love to know what is going on with Stedman.
Yes.
Stedman is Oprah's longtime partner. Apparently, he lives in the guest house. They've
What?
been together for like 50 years. I don't even think they're engaged.
My
but
God,
they've got
this
this
sounds-
lovely partnership.
that
I know.
sounds
Does that not sound like the
ideal.
perfect relationship? Your fellas in the garden shed.
Yes, and you can meet for meals and
You keep it
watching
interesting.
telly.
Keep it romantic. Keep the mystery.
During COVID, she would film herself going up to the guest house to hand him meals, I remember.
See?
She is.
We all need a Stedman.
She's the smartest woman
We need
who's
a
ever
Stedman.
drawn breath. All right, next, Meghan Markle.
I go back and forth so much on this, but I just want to ask why. What are we achieving now?
Yeah.
I love the royals. I'm not a royalist, but I was definitely an Elizabethan.
Yeah.
I thought what the Queen stood for in terms of her work ethic and her pragmatism was something to be admired. But as much as I love Harry and I love that he's pushing back on some of those family issues, now it's just starting to get a bit icky. And I don't know, trashing your family like that is just a bit, I don't know.
The man on the tip of everyone's lips at the moment.
Oh, only you can only wish.
Harry, the great Harry Styles did a shoey last night in Perth. What would you ask him?
He also sung Horses by Darren Braithwaite.
He never puts a foot wrong.
Right? He's so pretty. He has the
is.
best music, but
Yeah.
he's so young. So the only question...
Is he? How old is
He's
he?
27.
Is that too young?
For me, it is. Maybe it's just my deep-seated daddy issues. But what I would ask is, can I adopt you?
Oh, yes. A very thinly veiled
I could
offer
keep
there.
him in the pool house.
Yes,
That's what
you
I could
pull
do.
a Stedman.
He can be your Stedman.
Right?
I would wear out the path with little offerings of muffins and lasagna. Sarah Harris, thank you so much for coming in. You're doing a great job on the project.
thanks.
6:30 p.m. Sunday to Friday on 10. Thanks again for coming in. You're the best.
Mwah, love you.
The Chrissy Swan Show. Chrissy's Clickbait.
There's a Don't Worry Darling theme going on here for the clickbait. First of all, Florence Pugh has been snapped on the red carpet at the BAFTAs looking amazing. And then afterwards at 8:45 a.m. hobbling out of a cab.
I love her. What a little night gremlin. She's my girl. Because watching that movie, I feel like I've got to pick between Olivia Wilde or Florence Pugh.
Yes,
because
well,
of the feud.
as most people did, there was a huge feud on set of Don't Worry, Darling. Florence Pugh was in the news again earlier on this week saying, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to be drawn into it. Let's just talk about my new movie, which is lovely. What did you think of Don't Worry, Darling?
I loved it.
I did too.
But I hadn't read about it. I didn't know anything about the plot. So when the twist happens, I had no idea that was coming. And it almost made me a bit anxious because I'm like, this is hectic.
Yeah.
It's also pretty and beautiful. I didn't expect it to get so dark.
I didn't know about the twist at all. I didn't even know there was a twist.
No.
So I was delighted by it.
But this headline about her getting home at 8:45 a.m. makes me love her the most.
She was gorgeous in that film.
She was great.
She carried the whole thing.
Harry's acting questionable.
No,
but sure.
that is harsh. Don't ever say anything naughty about Harry Styles.
He can sing, man, but I don't know if he can act. He was not. Acting wasn't amazing.
How dare you?
I love the guy, but I'm just saying.
He can act.
Okay.
He can act. I'll die on this hill. I'm seeing him on Friday night. I'm so excited.
Jealous.
I still don't know what I'm going to wear. Might get a blow wave. So Harry Styles has kicked off his Australian tour in Perth last night and, as usual, has not put a foot wrong. I'm going to get to what he did to endear himself to Australians, but listen to this. First of all, he says, before we go any further, my name's Harry. Thank you for spending this evening with us.
Oh, it's so formal.
My job tonight is to entertain you, and I promise we will do our very best. It's just, you can tell he would have delivered that so politely, and everyone would have been losing their minds.
For sure.
It would have been like, more, talk like that, more.
Don't sing, just talk.
Slower.
But don't act.
Again, with the acting, he was very good in that. It was a very difficult role. How dare you?
And what else did he do?
He did a shoey on stage, which of course is a shoey for Shadow. Made famous by, I don't know, bogans everywhere. It's where you take a hot shoe and you fill it with beer or water. I don't know. Does Harry drink?
Yeah, I think you chucked a beer in it, didn't you?
Okay, chucked a beer in it. Don't know. I'll have to double check those details. But you drink liquid from a hot, steaming shoe, which is my idea of fresh hell, unless, of course, it was Harry Styles' shoe, and I would do it.
Would you have, if Harry gave you a drink, handed you a beer, you haven't drunk for ages, would you drink it just to please Harry?
No. No, I wouldn't.
That's massive.
No, I know. Because I would be like, what does it matter to you, Harry?
But I'll take your shoe. And I'll sleep with it and kiss it. That Adidas.
Pour a Diet Coke into that stinky Converse, Harry, and I will sup from your shoe. Anyway, he also sang Gerald Braithwaite's The Horses.
He did that in 2018 when he was here
he's
as well.
mad for it. He's mad for it. But I've got to turn up with an extra pair of shoes, obviously, Friday night, just in case, and a icy cold can of Diet Coke, and see if I can turn it around.
Now check this out. The Chrissy Swan Show is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.